The coppery tang of blood filled my mouth as I sliced through the soldiers with the precision obtained from my years of battling. The Sandrians had been trying to take over our kingdom for centuries. Unfortunately for us, they were much closer to achieving that than they ever had been before. A heavily armored soldier stepped toward me, and I rolled my eyes. I didn't know how they functioned in all that metal. Our suits were made of a material just as impenetrable, but allowed me a much better range of motion. Not to mention, I looked ridiculously hot in it. I smirked as the large vampire charged me. Most of the Sandrian army didn't have much magic, but judging by the burn marks on his forearms, he was a strong fire wielder. My assumption was confirmed as fire leaped from his sword toward where I stood. I stole the oxygen from the fire with a quick flick of my wrist and blocked his blow with my left sword. "Come on, you can do better than that, little guy," I muttered with a smile. "You'll regret that, witch," he responded. Anger boiled behind his eyes, and he came at me with all his strength, not even attempting to use his magic this time. The sword got closer to my shoulder than I wanted, and I hissed as it grazed my suit. With a burst of air magic, I flipped over his head, my blades already crossed and ready as I landed on his shoulders. "I regret nothing," I whispered in his ear, before slicing my blade through the flesh of his throat, severing his spine, and removing his head completely in one swift move. His body began to tip forward, and I quickly jumped down to the ground, landing in front of another soldier. His face was tight with anger, but I could see the flicker of fear in his eyes as I moved toward him. I bathed in that feeling. The emotion of fear from a man who didn't expect that tightness in his stomach, or the flow of his blood to speed up when peering down at me. "Now's your time to say a prayer, if you're into that kind of thing," I said as I let loose a rope of air and wrapped it around his body. He tensed with wide eyes as I pulled him toward me with my blade already out, skewering him right in the heart. "Didn't even put up a fight. You're no fun," I muttered as the life left his eyes and I pulled my blade from his body. He thudded to the ground, and I felt a presence moving toward my back. I whirled around with my swords, slashing into whoever dared to approach me from behind like a coward. "Shit, Daya!" Catalina yelped as she dodged my blades. "You know better than to approach me from behind, Cat," I said as I gave her a sidelong glance. Catalina was new to our army. We were the same age and grew up together, but she was untested when it came to battle. She was more than skilled with a weapon. Her mother made sure of it. But she had hoped to avoid the position she was in now. Her mother was one of our greatest generals, and her dying wish was for Kat to fill her shoes. She'd been newly promoted to general, and despite her lack of experience, she was actually doing an excellent job. "You out of bruja magic?" Kat asked. I sighed. "Yeah, all I've got is air left." I ran through my bruja magic pretty quickly and needed blood to fill my reserves back up. Air magic, the magic of my region, was fine enough, but it wasn't nearly as deadly as the magic of my order. My bruja magic was hotter than the flames of Sandri, pure essence that extended from me akin to lightning from a storm cloud. "I was just coming to say the other side of the battle needs you. You pretty much took care of everyone over here by yourself," she said as she studied the carnage surrounding where I stood. I shrugged and followed her to the other side of the battle, but before we made it, the ground beneath me rumbled, and I looked over at Kat with my brows pinched. "Do you feel that?" I asked. "Feel what?" She stopped her movement. "What is that?" The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, everything about my surroundings screaming to figure out what was wrong. "I don't." I was cut off as a vast cloud of black smoke burst from the middle of the battle. It rippled and moved so fast I could barely track it as people on both sides of the fight went up in ash the moment it touched them. An invisible force pushed me off my feet, throwing Kat and me across the land. I landed on my back atop large stones, my head snapped back, and everything went dark.